Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Sorry I was a little late. I had my kid, so I had to attend to my kids. My daughter, I had to see her. Um, but I'm here. Hey, hope everyone's doing good. I feel pretty good today, to be honest with you, considering the news I got yesterday from my wife in terms of getting confirmation that she wants a divorce. So I just want to let you know that I'm feeling pretty good. I also I'm hoping everybody feels good too. To be honest with you, once you go through something drastic like that, it's really surreal. You have to it's eye-opening. To be honest with you, you have to. For some people, they know that divorce was approaching. Everybody knows that when you're about to get divorced, you're gonna get a divorce. You just have to learn how to deal with it, cope with it. Because for me, now that I have confirmation, it still hurts. Don't get me wrong. It does. I know now that I'm not gonna be with my wife again, and I feel bad about it. But again, I feel I feel pretty good. It hurts, because I'm still gonna have a lot of communication with her because of my daughter. But I feel pretty good. I don't feel as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I feel because like I said, once you get confirmation, once you know that you're not gonna get back together, I think you can move forward a little bit. I think it is a little bit easier. I feel that way for some reason. I don't know why. I just know that I want to definitely heal and move on without a doubt, because I don't want to be stuck in this place like this where I just can't do anything. I don't want to do anything. I am tired of feeling like that completely, and I know everyone else does too, because it's just you can't do anything. You don't want to do anything. Who wants that feeling of not want to do anything? I don't. Sometimes I have to force myself to go to the gym. Don't get me wrong. I do go to the gym, but sometimes I tell myself, I don't know if I'm going to go to the gym today, and then I have to force myself to go. That's why I go. I know I have to go. You have to clear your mind, focus what's ahead. It's a new chapter in my life. It's a new chapter in your life. We have to definitely, follow, this thing here where you have to be completely, you got to detach yourself from what's going on after you get confirmation, like I did. If for those who haven't had confirmation yet and are still thinking about getting back with their wife, especially if they think they can, this doesn't apply to you, obviously. But for me, for those of you that are going to go through a divorce, it applies to everyone. Even for people who are not married, if you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, it applies to you too. But the thing is that you got to move forward, and I feel pretty good about it. And now that I have, like I said, I have confirmation, I feel pretty good about it. The thing is that like I said, you have to maintain a line of communication with your ex if you have kids. So you're gonna be seeing them, and you're gonna start, hopefully you're gonna start feeling probably a little upset and bad about what's going on. But you have to respect your significant other's wishes. You really do. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing really you can do. Once someone made up their mind, they made up their mind. There's really nothing you can do about it. There really isn't. It would have to take a miracle. Somebody would have to say at the last minute, you know what, I'm having reservations and I think we should try again. If that ever happens to anyone, that's great. That's great. And I hope it happens to, a lot of people, to be honest with you, because if you can salvage your marriage, that's great. Get back together and then think about what not to do when you get back together, because obviously you still have to change everything about you. She's giving you a second chance, maybe a third chance. If she's giving you a second and third chance, then you know definitely that you're not getting another one. That's for sure. You're not going to get another one. So you have to definitely, take advantage of that. Do whatever you have to do to keep that person with you, especially if you love them, and you don't want to, you don't want to ruin or go through this stuff again. Especially if you have children, that's what you want. You want to keep your family intact. If you can keep your family intact, that's great. But for those of you who are going to be in the same situation that I'm in, where there is no reconciling, you definitely want to be cordial, and you gotta keep emotions out of it. It's gonna be hard, but when the kids get dropped off or you pick them up, you're gonna have to be like, you strong up here, and maybe limited contact. Say, hey, how you doing? Everything's okay? Everything's good? Okay, I'll have them back in a couple hours. I would suggest keeping it brief and get out of there. Take your kid or drop your kid off and just get out of there, because, don't make small conversations, because at the end of the day, it's not what they want. I know my wife doesn't want that. My wife doesn't want me to call her. We have to communicate through text, and I'm cool with that. But at the end of the day, when she does come here, I'm like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Everything cool? Okay. And I keep it brief, and she's gone. And I kiss my daughter, and I tell her I love her, and then they're gone. They're here like 2 minutes, not even that. Like, maybe a minute. But that's what you want to do. You want to keep it brief. You don't want, unless she strikes up a conversation with you about something pertaining to your kid, it's a little bit different. But you keep it brief, and you move forward. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to reconcile. It's all about being focused up here and strong mentally, and here too. Because, like I said, these two go together. Your mind and your heart goes together. Because, if this goes, that goes. This goes, that goes. That's just the way it is. Some people can deal a little differently, and some people can't. At the end of the day, we're all dealing with this stuff, man. So this is why I have this channel here, because if I can help one person salvage their relationship, or even just move forward, or make it even easier for them to move forward, that'd be great. Because a lot of times, and the majority of times, you're not going to get back together. So what you need is somebody there that's going to guide you through this, and this is what I'm here for, because I need guidance myself. Don't get me wrong. Just because I'm making this video here doesn't mean I don't need help, and I'm doing the best I can over here. And I find that these videos, are great. They make me feel good. I'm hoping it makes you feel better. This is why I try to give you advice in terms of going to the gym, getting out of the house, do something constructive, find some kind of hobby, or just get involved with a new hobby, or something you used to do before, things that you did when you were before you got involved. That's what you want to do. Go back to doing what you did when you were single, as long as it's productive and good for you. Like I said, if you like shooting pool, that's fine. But I personally don't want to be in a bar, because if you're in a bar, you have you have easy access to alcohol right there, and you don't want to do that. I have actually alcohol in my house right here, and liquor, and I don't even touch it, because I'm not in a position right now to be touching that, because I know that if I start drinking here a little bit, I'm gonna get depressed, and I'm gonna be in the house, and that's not what you want. I'm trying to I'm trying to speed up my recovery over here, so to speak, and that's what I want. To be honest with you, it's not. It's not gonna be quick, obviously, but I'm trying to speed it up a little bit, because the better I feel every day, the more I can accept it, and I can deal with it, and then I can move on. I can move forward with my life, move forward with my next chapter. Like I said, my wife and I don't want to be enemies. We're gonna be friends. I'm hoping we can be friends, and if she ever needs me, I'll be more than happy to help her out. I can't control what happened. At the end of the day, we tried, and it just didn't work. Just the bottom line. I wanted it to work, and I still want it to work, even though she's with somebody else. But obviously she's done, so I have to respect that. I'm just hoping that she wakes up one day and realizes that I might have made a mistake, but I don't think she's gonna do that. So I'm gonna give her whatever she wants. And she wants a divorce, we're gonna get it. what she is going to get, and I help her out as much as I can. With child support, obviously that's already a given. But I told her that if she ever needs anything in terms of something around the house or something like that. I mean, she has a boyfriend. Obviously, he can do it. I mean, but if I'm still gonna be there for her. If she gets a flat and she's 50 miles away, I told her, I said, listen, just call me up and tell me, look, Robert, I'm in a bind. Can you help me out? I'd be more than happy to go over there and like fix her flat, especially if my daughter's in the car. I mean, I would help her out. It's not. Well, I don't want to be enemies. I don't want to be enemies with her family either, because her family was cool. I mean, but like I said, at the end of the day, you wanna focus on what's ahead of you, and that's gonna be a new life. Everything's changing now. You're gonna be single. You're not gonna, you're not gonna be, when you come home now, there's no one there, and you have to accept that. Some people can accept that, and some people are still not gonna accept it. But you really don't have a choice. I was lucky and fortunate enough to be able to purchase a house. Some people might have had to move to an apartment, which is fine because you have to get out anyway. You don't need to buy a house. You can have an apartment. If I didn't find a house by a certain time, I would have been in an apartment anyway. So what I want to say is, once what's going on, you want to definitely speed up the process a little bit. I would recommend that, because that's kind of what I want to do. I want to be able to. But I felt good today. Today I felt, like I said, and that's what it's all about, man. Once you start feeling a little bit better every day and accepting what's going on, you can start to recover quickly. You can heal better. And it's not going to be easy. Obviously, again, you might still need your friends or your family, but you want to keep your mind busy. You got to stop it from thinking about what's going on, because it's inevitable. It's gonna be there. It's gonna be there, because every day and week and months that go by, that date comes a lot quicker. Next thing you got to go somewhere and fill out some paperwork and finalize your divorce. And that's just the way it is. Like I said, I'm not looking forward to that, but I don't have a choice. But I feel better, and hopefully in another 3 or 4 months, I'm gonna be in a position where I'm like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? And sign a piece of paper, give her a hug and say, listen, I'm sorry it didn't work out. I mean, we do have a kid together. And I'm sorry it didn't work out, but you take care of yourself, and I'll see you around, and obviously we have a kid together. But for those that don't have children, you don't have to be enemies, man. Like I say, you don't have to be enemies. Just talk. Just say, listen, I'm sorry it didn't work out, man. It just, if you ever need me, I'm going to be there for you. And you part ways. That's how you do it. You got to remember, man, this person, you loved this person at one time. This person was a part of your life. You can't just forget about them. You can't. They were a part of your life. You can't forget about that. You did things together, for years. Whether vacation, holiday, beaches, movie theaters, and whatever. You did things together. You were married. You weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. You were married. So that was a big commitment. You took that oath with that person. So you shouldn't, set him off into the night and never see him again. I think that's crazy. Unless something really bad happened between you guys and you want to cut ties like that. Like, if you got cheated on at your own house and stuff like that, then, that's a whole different story there. You want to definitely, say, listen, adios, But you don't have to be enemies with that person, because just because you guys are not going to be together any longer, doesn't mean you can't be friends. It's life, man. It's life. It really is. Now you think about it. I think about it. It's, everybody would love to stay with their significant other for as long as you can. Nobody thinks about divorce. It just happens, man. You have a bad year or two, and then it's if you don't recover, man, it's gonna tank, and that's it, dude. That is it. You're gonna be divorced. And then you're gonna have to start all over again. That is the messed up part. But you know what? It's better to start over than to be in a relationship that's toxic and not working, because you're gonna spend years of your life in a relationship where there's nothing going on there. There's no love, no communication. And a lot of times people stay together because of their children. I think that's crazy, because you're just gonna waste your life, because you have a right to be happy too. And if you stay with someone because of the children, then you just wasting years of your life beyond happy, when you could have met someone and been happy with that person, or vice versa. But I think I think staying together because of the kids, I think that's a wrong thing to do, because you don't have to be a husband to be a father. You don't have to be a wife to be a mother. All I'm saying is that I think that it should be amicable. To be honest with you, you have to move on, really. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move on, and like I said, last night like I said, I woke up this morning. I felt pretty good. I went to the gym. I felt pretty good. I got that out of my system. I had my daughter today, and took her to get some toys and got something to eat and talked to her, and she misses me, and I miss her, and that's what's important right now. You have to bond with your kid. That's really important, because obviously you don't see your kid like you used to. I was with my kid every day. We were living together, obviously, from birth, and now I see her once, twice a week. And I miss her a lot. There's no activity in the house. That's why this is why that's the only really thing that kind of hurts a little bit, is not being able to. I can see her grow, obviously, because she's really 5 minutes away, but she's not home where she should be at, or you're not there. But like I said, it really doesn't. There's nothing you can do about it. But you got to move on, and you can still have that relationship with your kid. Even if you get involved with somebody else down the road, and that's what you want. But as far as your significant other, and now you got confirmation. You should start doing some things, man, to start healing your heart. You have to like detoxify your whole body and your brain. It's like going to a sauna, right? After you work out, you go to the sauna, you're in there sweating, you're detoxifying your body. That's what you're doing. That's exactly what you need to do to your body, to be honest with you. You have to detoxify your heart. They can always be there. They can always be there, but in terms of that pain that you're going through, you need to get that pain out of there. You got to detoxify your heart. You got to do the same for your brain, especially your brain. Your brain, your mind will play tricks on you. You're going to start thinking about with your wife, especially on the weekend, which is horrible. It's a nightmare for me sometimes. But I learned to accept it, because I'm around people, and I surround myself with people, and I don't really think about it that much. And that's what you want to do. You don't want to be stuck in the house on the weekend, thinking about your wife, because she's not going to be your wife much longer. And she has a boyfriend, and or your husband, and it's going to drive you nuts. And you don't want that. You want to start recovering. This is about recovery, okay? You need to recover, because for me, it's been almost a year. So it's been almost a year. My wife left about late February, early March. That's when she left. So it's been almost a year. So but the first couple of months was brutal. That's how I lost the weight and everything like that. And then I had to move out, and I've been in this house 4 months. But there are people out there that's going through it right now, and I feel bad for them. I know what you're gonna go through. I already know what you're gonna go through, and it's gonna be brutal. So you have to prepare yourself for that. You really do. You have to prepare yourself for something that's gonna put you in a situation where you don't know what you're going to do. Obviously, whatever you do, to whoever's going to go through this right now, whatever you do, don't make it violent, okay? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no need to go out there and cause problems, have the police around, embarrass your friends, embarrass yourself, embarrass your wife and your family. You don't want to go that route. Do not go that route, because it's You're gonna be, because you're gonna be angry and you're gonna be hurt. You're gonna be angry and you're gonna, do some things that, that just it's gonna cause the cops to come and stuff like that. That's what you don't want to do. You don't want to bring the cops into it. Don't bring the police involved. Don't get them involved. You're gonna go. This is gonna test your heart. Divorce is going to, divorce, it's going to test your heart. It's going to test how strong you are, and there are people out there that are going to be strong and going to do the same thing that I did, okay? And they're going to recover eventually, okay? Some of them might recover a little bit earlier, some might recover a little bit later, but you're going to recover, okay? And there are people out there that's going to be thinking some crazy stuff, and that's when you need to surround yourself with people that love you. Okay, because you definitely don't want to go that route. And you know what I'm talking about. Don't harm yourself, because you're just going to make it worse. And you're not going to get that person back anyway, to be honest with you. And if you're injured, you're definitely not going to get them back. So it's stupid. So don't even do that. So my advice to you would be to don't go out and cause trouble. Don't get the police involved. You have to accept it. There's nothing you could do about it. And you got to move on. But you got to prepare yourself, too, because it's going to be brutal, And I would suggest having, talking to your family about it before it happens. Saying, Mom, Dad, or your brother or sister, say, listen, I think my wife is going to divorce me. We're going to separate. I don't know what to do. Ask for advice. Ask for advice. You can't go out there and do something stupid. All you're gonna do is it's just gonna cause problems. You don't want that. You wanna deal with this as best as you can. It's gonna be brutal. It's gonna hurt. Once it starts happening, man, you want to start, gravitating towards people that are positive. That's what you want. Positive vibe, positive energy, because it's gonna be brutal and it's gonna hurt, and you're probably gonna have to. For some people, they might have to take off of work for a couple of weeks. You might take a family medical leave absence, go on vacation. It's going to happen, I'm telling you, because it's very hard to go to work when you're dealing with this, especially in the beginning. And for some people who drive like I do, it's going to be really hard. There are people who do different types of job, and it's going to affect everybody differently. So a lot of times, if you think that this is going to be painful, then I would definitely work with your job about getting some kind of leave of absence and dealing with it before you come back to work, or dealing with it while you're at work, because it's going to affect you. There's a lot of programs out there that jobs have. They can offer job. I mean, your job offers a lot of programs. There's a lot of perks that these jobs have. Take advantage of them. I did. I had a free consultation and stuff like that and everything like that from therapy, family therapy. They all work. And it's you and it doesn't really cost you much at all. It might cost you like $25 per visit. Instead of $325. It's a big difference. You get like 8 or 10 free weeks. Stuff like that. That's what you want. But just want to let you know that you don't want to cause trouble with this pending separation, okay? So keep that intact. So listen, I am going to let you go here. It's great talking to you guys. Don't forget to, like that button, hit that notification, ring that bell, okay? Because I'm going to have more content out there. And like I said, I want this to go out to everybody who's going to need some therapy, because this is really therapy if you think about it, and that's what you want, spread the message, because, share it, because everybody who's going to go through this are going to have, problems. And there are people out there that don't have family, maybe a little bit of friends, or not many friends at all. And they're going to want to talk to someone, and I think that these videos are going to be very therapeutic, and I totally think so. If it helps with one person, that's great. That's what I want. So I want to be able to share this with everyone. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll post another one tomorrow around 4 o'clock. I know it was a little late today, but I had my daughter. Sorry about that. But sorry, not for my daughter, but I didn't know I actually was going to have her a little bit late today. But I will post something tomorrow, and I'll let you guys know around 3:30, 4 o'clock. Okay, thanks so much. Keep your mind strong. Stay focused, man. Heal your heart. Protect your heart. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.